Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology Update for February 13th through 20th, 2023. Wow, what an intense time we've been in last week. The pressure so intense with Mercury coming together with Pluto. This energy at the end degrees of Pluto of Capricorn is just bringing this kind of like a heavy intensity. We have to remember that Mercury has been in Capricorn for the last 2.5 months. And so Mercury has just moved over into the sign of Aquarius as of the 12th, but we're not really feeling the expansiveness, the perspective that can come from Mercury and Aquarius because Mercury and Pluto are still talking to each other. And it's really interesting because it's bringing up this energy of Aquarius has an energy of a vision of the future and what's your role in it and how do you meet your potential and come into your role in this evolution. Incredible desire within the supernova soul to come into their power. And yet, this Pluto at 28 degrees, now at 29 degrees, the very last degree of Capricorn. You have to understand the energy of this because it's like Mercury moving over to Aquarius is just like, oh, gotta do it. I gotta go. I gotta, especially with Jupiter coming out of retrograde shadow. It's this feeling of the bigger picture, and I've got to come into my role and what's going on here. We're trying to come into clarity, and the only clarity we can get in this world right now is that we are being massively manipulated and controlled. And I think it must be important, right, that this is all playing out so that we understand how much we're being manipulated and controlled. But it's still not very fun to look at it. And supernova souls are like, enough is enough. Because the way you've mostly manipulated and controlled through lifetimes is by getting you to forget who you really are. And I have to say, past life readings with supernova souls, you guys have done amazing things, great works. Now, there's a huge psychological trap agenda going on, especially geared towards advanced souls right now. They want us to feel ineffectual and hopeless, completely isolated and trapped, and this is the energy of Pluto coming to this 29-degree Capricorn. And then Mercury's trying to move on into that hope. And then there's this energy of like, oh, yeah, the more light, the more hope, the more energy you move towards that, the more we're going to come find you and beat you down. It's like, so there's a bloom of this control energy that we have not seen. It's been, we haven't seen it this bad and this intense, which means we're definitely getting to this end game place. And what does this mean for us individually as supernova souls? The end game is the end of the games. We can't play anymore. So the most important thing, one of the messages that's been coming through, the most important thing that would needed to be put in place in order for us to get this far down the New World Order agenda globalist plan to take away our complete human autonomy, freedom, and organic chemistry. Um, it was required that advanced souls, supernova souls, be abused, disempowered, separated, and robbed of their memories. That is what's necessary to keep the whole gig in place, right? And it's like, so what happens when we stand up and we stand in our righteous truth and we stand in the light that we are? Game over. So here we are at this precipice, of like a vision, a leap, the future, something else besides this Groundhog Day loop of existence we've been stuck in. And yet there's that 29 degrees Pluto Capricorn, like, mm-mm. And it's saying to us, where are you still beholden? Where are you unknowingly or knowingly feeding the monster, allowing those energies. We are all doing it right now because it's just so hard. It's important to understand we're being inundated with vibrational frequency to keep us in despair or asleep. You get two choices right now. You can be completely asleep and go along like the empty shell they want us to be so they can fill us with whatever they would like to take over our bodies with, right? This is our world right now. And you can see it in the media everywhere. It's like an empty shell. And all we've been worshiping and holding with esteem in our life is completely empty. We're just having this extreme bloom of narcissism. Now, there is such an agenda in this picture they're creating for us. And for supernova souls feeling very isolated, not one person to talk to about what really matters, what's in your heart. It's for a reason. They don't want you ever validated on that level because that's the way we get out of this. That's the truth. This is the way right there in our heart. And it's actually, of course, boomeranging and pushing us deeper into our heart. But the message around us is like, you're the only one. Oh, sorry, everybody else has been taken over zombie land. And this is the thing that's it seems an important message for supernova souls right now. It's like, don't buy into that because there are so many masters embodied on this planet more than ever before. And if you can believe that there's not one good, pure, true soul out there, fine, go ahead and go down the black pill, you know? But how is it possible? How is it possible? All of this power that's not been expressed, right? It's like we've got cards in the game and we have all these cards that haven't been played. And so it's such an interesting and excruciating and intense time for supernova souls because we're literally just have no choice but to birth into our potential. And yet it's just a feeling, the message is like, well, you're going to be all alone. And it's kind of like, well, that's really okay. Because right now, what I'm seeing is supernova souls are feeling a deeper conviction than ever before to live a more true spiritual life, to get on their path, to be real, to be true. And at the same time, everything around us is getting more empty and fake. And so it's really, really important to understand that the way the setup is right now, most likely nothing in your 3D manifested, what you can see, world, feel, touch, experience is serving you. Nothing, right? It's like Satan's world. This is the physical manifested form. And we've been having to go by those rules, which are outside of the divine, except for that we have all these souls that have never strayed. They've told you, I mean, we've been, oh gosh, fed these stories about what sinners and how wrong and bad we are. But there's like all of these uncorruptible, pure souls on the planet. And just hold this in your heart. Hold this in your heart because you're one of them. You made it. You're here. You're listening to this. And thank you for all those great works in these previous incarnations. And that's the interesting thing. It's like, how do we reconcile? Um, And looking at these past lives of supernova souls, it's been really interesting because it's like a lot of times you're taken to a lifetime where you're shown what it looked like for you to express more fully your spiritual gifts, right? So we've been and expressed so much more than we've been able to in this lifetime. This is what's gnawing away the supernova soul. Just because it's like day by day, you're getting stronger in who you are in your light. Going back to that thing, it's like, oh, raise your frequency. It's like, well, the way to raise our frequency is to like not capitulate to the energies around us anymore. Like I said, it's like looking like the manifest reality, the people around you, the systems that are being shown to you and your hologram right now are there to completely distract you from who you really are and what you're here to do and be. And so we've got to stop allowing those to dictate, right? Like, that's not my reality. And we have to go within. And of course, there's that message, well, you're all alone, man. Have fun out there. And this is a long term program. It goes back to failed and deliberately sabotaged initiation rites in ancient Egypt. A lot of supernova souls experience these things. And one of the programs that comes from that failed initiation is this belief system and literal program and little, like, just anchored into our psyche that says that if you choose spiritual initiation, then you're going to be all alone floating out there in the universe. And it's absolutely a complete, it's opposite, right? It's a complete and total lie. Choosing to be and express who we really are is how we find each other, you know? And we've been waiting around to find each other so that we could feel safe in expressing who we are, except we have all kinds of bullshit programming from past lives around where we chose and agreed through contractual arrangements not to come together as supernova souls, to disperse. Again, it's coming back to the one thing that's keeping this whole bullshit reality going is us capitulating our reality. And energetically, what we have as organic humans and access, direct access to life force, this is what astrology has been trying to show us with Chiron and Aries. And that Mercury retrograde in Capricorn, 3 squares with Chiron and Aries. So Chiron and Aries is our wounds around life force, giving away our life, giving away our life force again and again. Supernova souls are not having it. As these akashic records open up and we are able to receive the past life information and who we really are and remember, there is this strength of resolve. And this is where we need to be, a determined inner reality. And it's like what I see is that situations around supernova souls limiting you continually, lifetime after lifetime, pigeonholing you into where they want you to put your energy. This is actually, it's so interesting because we're talking about this quintessential Capricorn energy, and that is exactly what it is. And if we look at this world, we look at everything that's being shown to us right now, it all has to do with control, like the technocracy, like technology is all about, well, you're gonna use our browser. It's bullying energy. It's like, you're gonna be using our browser. Oh, you can turn it off if you go do this, this, and this. We'll just turn it right back on. And that browser is gonna open up whether you like it or not. We own you and we're in charge. And so this is the control energy showing itself that we've been dealing with since Atlantean time. So it's a very interesting time as we're at this cutting edge. Supernova Souls playing this incredibly crucial role, except for totally clueless about who we are and what we're doing. And yet the power grows within us. And you have to know that even though the message is that you're all alone if you take this step, we're doing it together. We're connected. We're doing it together. What you are experiencing, supernova souls are experiencing. And as you find that clarity, those solutions, that getting out of that trap, that information and support is available to the whole supernova field. That's the power of the work we've been doing with activations and soul group sessions coming together, creating this field, supernova field. And just in really intense time of push pull right now and intense control energies. And supernova souls have been dealing with this type of bully control energy. I mean, you can tell that's the narcissist empty program right away when there's bullying. And I don't know about you, I've had about enough of those bullies, you know? And it's like we've been forced to meet that energy with aggression, and then we get caught in karma lifetime after lifetime, and that's the trap that supernova souls are in. So it's very sticky, and yet it's really all about understanding that the reality that's being created for us is bullying us into expressing and being in vibrational frequencies that do not fit us. We don't need to raise our vibration. We need to be. I mean, this is interesting. From the very beginning, it was like messages came through around supernova souls, like the biggest problem, the problem in your whole life and everything goes down to the fact that you're turning your light down, and all the effort and all the struggle is really about those forces that want you to continue to turn your light down, and where we've conceded lifetime after lifetime because they're like, well, we're going to kill you, you know. And then so we're just working through all of this, and this is because we're having a bloom of the energy of the Piscean age. So this is we're feeling this a lot right now because right now, as of today, we're of the 13th, we're feeling Venus come into an exact conjunction with Neptune in Pisces. They're coming together at 24 degrees. So Neptune is direct, like all our planets are direct now, moving into new territory, just moved to 24 degrees. Venus catching up. Now, Venus in Pisces has been this desire. The one time we have all this control energy, on the other hand, we have this blooming desire to come back into who we really are, to live a life more full, to get back to an expression of the oneness and wholeness and stop going along with the program around us. It's just like, where is my land with my people, with the garden, with the connection, with the songs, with the spirit, with like how we're supposed to be living. Like, don't you feel like uh, throughout the last few years there's been these crucial times where it feels like, okay, supernova souls, this is when we're in a constant vigil, and we're definitely in one of those times, and yet this time it's like, I'm not doing this alone. I'm going to go find my people. And so this incredible desire with Venus is what we love and what we need and what makes us feel good. And in this case, it's a spiritual connection and a spiritual life. And it's just like reaching out beyond all these stories and grabbing a hold of what really matters and living from that place. We are the hope of the world. And all it has to do with is living the way we want to, living the way we want to, and expressing our spiritual truth is the hope of the world. So, okay, so we've got this Venus and Neptune is like an energy of spiritual revival. And it's really interesting because I can feel the control energies they're actually stoking the fires of a spiritual revival so they can control us through that too. We have to understand the constant division and what they're trying to do. Like there's this Jesus commercial on the Super Bowl, and it's like, okay, and then but it's the Jesus commercial, the picture, the imagery, the message was people against each other, so that's programming. It's associating Jesus with division and stoking this. So they're taking it's a great example of how the Piscean age was about taking spiritual impulse, miracles, magic, mystical connection, and using it to control the people by turning them against each other. And wait, how did they do that? Through targeting key people, right? They used you, and you've been carrying that karma this whole time, and isn't it time to let it go? Just drop it. Just let it go. This is where we're at. It's like that feeling of being in the corner and the surrender, but not a surrender to the controls. Okay, surrender to your higher self, higher purpose, higher existence, truth, what's beyond firmament. And so we must live this in our hearts. And the other thing that's going on starting today, and this is these will be happening through the next, pretty much this week, the next 4 or 5 days, these conjunctions. Now, Venus with Neptune Venus is a personal planet. It's like our day to day emotions and everything like that, right? And then Neptune is that transpersonal planet, speaking to generational energies. So when these come together, it's like, ooh, it's about alignment. We've got to get the cycles aligned. We got to get our personal life in alignment with the bigger cycles. And Conjunctions are alignment. Conjunctions, when you have a conjunction in your birth chart, if it's exact, literally those planets or elements are taking on the same energy. They're completely joined into one energy. Um, and so when Venus comes together with Neptune, it's about this spiritual revival and the that Christ consciousness, not Jesus. I mean, the beautiful story of the man, like he showed us the way to transfiguration, transmutation, to light body, that it's possible. But this is about Christ consciousness in each of our embodying that Christ light, that Christ body in our own body. And so that is just this huge desire. And this is the other thing in supernova past lives, like a lot of past lives you were living way more in rhythm and connection. Of course, right? We're so out of connection and nothing can support it. Like we said, it's like, oh, waking up to the fact that everything around you is a captured operation. Um, that's what it feels like. So, but we also have the sun, our personal planet, which is about who we are, our identity, the role we're playing, and the exact conjunction with Saturn. Now, the exact conjunction happens with Venus and Neptune on the 15th into the 16th, and then the sun and Saturn is on the 16th. So, this like at the very middle of February here, we got some powerful energies of boom. When things come together, they either merge or they annihilate. So the sun, our identity, direct exactly conjunct Saturn in Aquarius is about who are we in the Aquarian age in the future? Do we have a future? Are we going to claim our future? Are we going to claim it back? Um, and so we've got this spiritual revival energy and then this like linking up with our greater purpose and role in the new laws and rules of the Aquarian age. And of course, Saturn, though, always brings an energy of Saturn is it has the divine timeline in it, but it also has the absconding of the divine timeline and those exact control energies. It's the ruler of Capricorn. So there's an energy of battle between the sun and Saturn, you know, and can I be who I really am, or do I need to be who I'm dictated to? And I think this is such a huge thing because it looks like the Atlantean age, where all these stories started, was a was an Aquarian age. So in order for us to get to the Aquarian age, we've got to heal those stories from Atlantean time. And so we're coming up against our false self and our real self and the false timeline and the false reality created around us by the manifest world, Satan, Saturn, and having to create our own world within. And that's Venus and Neptune saying we can dream our way out of this. And that's what the interesting energy is here. Because in Atlantean time, we brought technology through our own body to the earth. And then a small group of control energies came in, used that same technology to create weapons still being used on us today, create earthquakes in Turkey, right? It's getting so obvious. This ability to manipulate weather and control us through these catastrophes. It's the same old story. We're still buying into it. So, but that was this thing where that technology was like, well, we brought the technology and it was misused, so it's our fault. And we took on all that karma, all that blame, all that shame, and we've been hiding ever since on some level. So we tried to come out in the Piscean age and then we got whack-a-mole. So now the technology that's being used against us, which it is like through our own phones in such an ability. Ooh, like the ability of AI to control us is so scary. But there's the flip, the turnaround, where we are using their technology that was ours just organic in our own body, and we can use their technology and hack their system and put our light in. And because Eve, whatever's manifest in Satan's world, right? In the energies that don't support life, in the black cube, and the control, and the quarantine energy. Um, they are still within the play of the one, okay? So we can use that consciousness energy. It's stronger and more powerful and more real and more true, and it's the law. And that is actually what Jesus was showing us. So we are backed into the corner and we have no choice but to hack the system with our own power. And that's why we've been so having to take it back, you know? And the main thing I'm seeing in all of that transition of when you get to that point where you're like, no more, I'm not feeding, I can feel I'm taking my energy back. The huge program at that point is you're going to be all alone. And that's coming up so much. And the isolation of what you've gone through in past lives and the triggering of that and your trauma center through AI technology and through nanotech can be excruciatingly painful. But they can only trigger until there's no longer a trigger, right? So them triggering us can mean that we just step up and drop all those stories, and the boomerang. We're at the boomerang moment, and it's kind of like I don't know, like how do we throw the boomerang and catch the boomerang and receive this boomerang, right? So much about this. Now, the other thing that we're feeling that's exact on the 16th is Mercury in square to the nodes. Mercury is now in Aquarius, and we've had a little break from the square energies, but we're like kind of immobilized, like, oh, everything's direct, but we're still just like stuck in the goo. And so now we're coming out of next square energy and Mercury in Aquarius now feeling like coming out from the dark shadow of the heavy Capricorn energy. And, the control energy of Capricorn is about pushing us to take our own control and our own autonomy, right? That's what Capricorn, that's a higher vibration of Capricorn is owning your power. So that whole control energy thing. So what if this is all playing out for us to be able to be pushed into that corner to own our own sovereignty and power? And then maybe we could thank these forces that are messing with us so much. Um, Mercury in Aquarius is trying to have this perspective, on a greater perspective. Kind of Aquarius is kind of like, all right, step back, air sign, like let's see it from 40,000 feet. And but now coming into the square with the nodes, and this is at 6 degrees. So the nodes of the moon are at 6 degrees. They only have a few months left in these signs. And when it comes to that point, there's always this thing of like, are you getting the message? Are you getting the message? And this is one of those times where Mercury in square to the nodes is fixed T square. And it's about our perspective, our greater perspective. And the nodes are the North Node in Taurus is this really powerful energy around whether we can receive. So it's kind of that picture of like, can we receive our own boomerang? Can we now drop the stories that it was our fault and the sensitivity and the energy we hold for humanity and let them have their process to come back to God? Us staying trapped here with them is not serving anyone. And that's another part of the lie. It's the sacrifice, you know? Of this distortion of the Christ mythology. Everything we need to recapitulate and completely reorganize and rewrite, um, and come into the new mythology. And that's kind of what Venus and Pisces right now is doing and desiring. Is that spiritual revival. Spiritual revival was always coming back to the original tenets. Um, and the spiritual revival that happened before the American Revolution, about 20 years before the American Revolution, that spiritual revival was about going up against laws and rules that said that it had to be like a government sanctioned preacher in order to have a actual church, right? I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. Church can be held in the woods. Church can be held in our heart." And it was this kind of going back to the original tenets of Christianity and as a way to purify. And so we're definitely in a purification. We know we can't get anywhere with like without a purification. And but how long are souls going to hold all of this? And maybe that, this is part of your deal. It's like we're so big and we have this huge energetic field and power, and yet we're carrying these burdens that we did not create, and we can never heal that karma. So very interesting times here with this Aquarian, with Sun Saturn, massive Aquarius activation, and then Mercury and Aquarius square the nodes. Now, that means also square the South Node in Scorpio. We haven't talked much about this. It hasn't been triggered, but um, wow, the South Node in Scorpio is the hidden shadows, things that are the depth of the situation that's keeping us from feeling worthy of that wealth, of feeling worthy. Now, this is the energy of that's coming up around Black Moon Lilith and Leo. Very interesting. Black Moon Lilith is at the beginning of Leo, and has a very powerful story playing out in Leo in the summer. With Venus will take a retrograde and have 3 conjunctions with Black Moon Lilith still in Leo. So it's like a precursor energy, and Black Moon Lilith is coming into, we're already feeling Black Moon Lilith come into the square, a square with the nodes in Leo. So that means, and now when Mercury comes into the opposition with Black Moon Lilith, oh, that's actually happening right now. So what we actually have is a um sorry about that. It's a fixed square, a grand fixed square, because we've got Mercury opposite of Black Moon Lilith and in square to the nodes of the moon. So all of the fixed signs, and the fixed signs are about an established reality. And so we're trying to imprint a new vibration, and very powerful that we've got Venus, Neptune, spiritual revival, and reevaluating our role and rules as we move into the Aquarian age, because we're not going to do the same stories as Atlantean time. And so, um, really powerful, because when the nodes are activated in this way, it's like a turning of the tide. And it's interesting because the nodes, Mercury square the nodes happens at 6 degrees Taurus, and the nodes move backwards through the signs. And so Black Moon Lilith comes in square with the nodes at 5 degrees. So 6 degrees to 5 degrees, and 5 degrees is the last stretch of the North Node in Taurus, South Node Scorpio. And wow, we're going to get it this time. So, um, Mercury opposite Black Moon Lilith and square the nodes is, so Black Moon Lilith in Leo. Black Moon Lilith is the deepest, darkest secrets. It's the furthest away that the moon gets from Earth, so it speaks to deep, deep hidden secrets and connected with your 12th house in astrology. In Leo, it's shining the light on it. And it's shining the light on, first of all, we're seeing a massive expression of egotistical energies. And we've been talking about that in our world of empty shell. And we're supposed to buy that. Um, On the other hand, though, we have this righteousness, this true royalty within, as we understand we're children of God, and that we have the autonomy within us, the sovereignty, the power, a human soul aware of itself as consciousness, the highest form of authority. And so it's like shining the light on our royal right. And it's interesting because there's the story of like true royal bloodlines that had a real connection to the land and to the people, and then infiltration of those bloodlines and a misrepresentation by like reptilian type of energies, and so it's like the righteous kings and queens, the true royalty rising, and that's us. We have earned this. It's our kingdom. Are we going to take it back? Are we going to continue to concede our reality moment to moment, day to day? So this is where we're at, and this is the great work. And we can tap into the great works, incredible things you have done and accomplished in past lives. They cannot take that from you. They could take your memory, but they cannot take your soul. And now it comes flooding back home, and all of us together. So take heart, supernova souls is darkest just before the dawn, and we are at a massive shifting point. But there's a tumultuous energy throughout 2023 of this movement, and of Pluto dancing at the edge of Capricorn and Aquarius. and Pluto moves into Aquarius in March 23rd. So it's like, all right, Pluto, go ahead and put up a fight. But it's really about breaking down everywhere. It's like challenging us to make sure every single cell is under our control as creation, in alignment with creation, not with their nefarious plan to make us controllable. And so, wherever you feel that control energy is showing each of us where we still are giving our power away. And it might be on a cellular level, right? Through consciousness, through stories of past lives, keeping us in that shadowy darkness, but we cannot stay there. And this is this Black Moon Lilith in Leo and Mercury opposite, um, bringing this awareness of this Black Moon Lilith in Leo and the shadows around where we haven't been expressing the light of God that we are, and the shadows, the expression of the ego based, empty, um, the direction that humanity's headed in, as far as the if we're being given a choice right now, right? To But the choice for freedom and autonomy does not come easy. Everything is trying to pull us back into that hive mind, and they've established the hive mind now. That was part of the um, injections. It's like to establish a hive mind and a controllable humanity. So you have to understand that as an autonomous human in your soul, in your spirit, and home, in your body, you pose a great challenge. And yet you're a warrior for freedom and you do great works, and your existence is a great work because of all this work you've done over many lifetimes. And don't let anybody take that from you. Don't let your surroundings dictate your vibrational reality, because they cannot. It's established already. So incredibly powerful energy with Mercury in square to the nodes, and then Mercury will go on the 22nd next week. Will square up with Uranus in Aquarius, so we'll talk more about that. But we're having these fixed squares, super activated, and trying to establish, to imprint a new energy, and what's going to be imprinted. Zombieland or, the kingdom and the garden, and returning home and bringing home here. So beautiful, beautiful work. Thank you so much, Supernova Souls, and thank you so much for your support. Please consider being a part of Supernova Soul Tribe, $10 a month. That will get you the Friday update, monthly Q&As, and the replays of the Q&As, and also a lot of resources available, Supernova Forum, to talk about it and connect and begin to build our army light. So thank you so much for your support. Also consider Supernova Gold if you like the activations. Don't miss an activation. For $20 a month, you are automatically included in the activations and the sharing circles after. So thank you for your being with me and for your support and being with us. You don't have to do anything besides your consciousness to be a part of this group. It's already established. And so, but thank you so much for your support and for helping us build something amazing together with Supernova Enterprises. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.